All right, so let's get rocking and rolling here, folks. Today we have quite a bit of content to go over. So just as a reminder, what we'll be covering today is Google My Business and what has changed for 2022. The answer to that being quite a bit, actually. So as you guys well know from the emails or from the groups or newsletters or whatever it is that you're subscribed to of mine, Google has made some substantial changes to their algorithm. And when I say substantial changes, what I'm talking about are the types of changes that fundamentally change the way you have to go about your optimization. It doesn't mean they've changed everything, but they've changed enough to where certain approaches and certain strategies have become deprecated. So they're just non-effective anymore. You're literally spinning your wheels and wasting your time. Whereas others could actually have a negative impact on your ranking and what you're doing. So that's why we're going to cover today what those changes are, but not only what are those changes, but what should you do? What should you do instead? Okay. So for the sake of argument, if you guys could let me know in the chat box, how many of you actually have an active Google My Business? How many of you have Google My Business versus how many of you do not currently have a Google My Business set up? And when I say Google My Business, now they're calling it Google Profile. It's been called Google Maps. It's been called all sorts of different things. But ultimately, we're talking about the same thing here. All right. So I still like to call it Google My Business, even though technically they've changed the name because that's what it's been to me for years. Okay. So, and versus how many of you guys are just looking at getting one set up. So just to be clear, when we're talking about Google My Business, folks, let's take a look at what exactly we're talking about here. Let's open up one of these tabs. I'm just going to hit back here. So when somebody goes to Google and performs a search for a local business, this is what we're talking about, is what shows up right here. This is the Google Maps pack, okay, Google Maps. And you have 3 organic listings that show up. Now you may be seeing a 4th one here, but keep in mind this one is an advertisement. This is a paid ad. This is not organic right here. So these guys paid to be here. The reason why Google My Business is not just important, but has become critical to your lead generation is because of the adoption rate. Let's just stick with the U.S. here. 67% of all drivers in the U.S. state that they prefer and primarily use Google Maps. Okay? So think about that. 67%. We're getting dangerously close to 3/4 of all drivers. But here's the real kicker, is of that 67%, over 84% of them state that they utilize it to find local businesses. They use Google Maps. That's over 3/4. That's huge. Now, when we're talking about showing up in the 3 organic rankings here, depending on which study you're looking at, but it averages over 60%. All of them are within 1 or 2% of each other. The one I see most frequently is 64% of all clicks of individuals that have looked for whatever your service happens to be. In this case, we're talking mortgage loans. 64% of those clicks go to these 3 showing up in the 3-pack. That's the lion's share, isn't it? That's crazy, right? So how do we get there? And how do how do we make adjustments based on Google's algorithmic changes? That's what I'm going to show you here today. So let me get Google My Business here. Let me get a Google My Business tab open. Give me just 1 second here, folks, and I'm going to show you exactly that right now. 1 moment as I get that open up. Now, for those of you who are looking for Google My Business, keep in mind the link is just google.com/business. Google.com/business. Okay. If that's not bringing it up for you for whatever reason, you can always just open up google.com and just type out Google My Business in the search box, and then just scroll down to the results, and that'll bring you to this same page. Okay. So once you get there, if you're not already signed in, go ahead and sign in, but you can just click Manage Now. And when you go to Manage Now, it's going to bring you to a page that looks like this. Now, for some of you, depending on what part of the country you're in, yours may look a little bit different. Believe it or not, it's not uniform, because Google rolls out different variations, different tests, and slight different variations of their algorithm in different markets. They don't do it all universally. So if yours looks a little bit different from mine, don't worry. It's not that you did anything wrong. It's most likely just that you have a slightly different variation in your city. Okay, no big deal. They're still going to be 98 to 99% similar. Okay, just might be slight differences. So I'm opening up just an old deprecated account that I disabled a long time ago, because I use this for demonstrations. But really, let's talk about some of the very first things that can impact your business and your ranking. And that is, we're going to start off with when you're first setting up your account. One of the things that Google asks you for is to select a category for your business, right? When you're typing out your address, you're typing out the name of your company, you're putting in your phone number and all this other stuff. One of the things Google asks for is the categories. What categories does your business fall in? And you can select multiple categories, okay? However, what we find is that the overwhelming majority of loan officers pick the same category, but there are two categories available for mortgages. Okay, but most lenders, let's take a look at this in action. Most of them are selecting mortgage broker. But let me prove this to you. Take a look at this. I've done Chicago mortgage broker. This is category number 1. Now take a look at what shows up here at the top. So we got this Counter mortgage broker. We got Mid-America lenders, Fairway Independent, Jim, guaranteed rate, Mike, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. Now check this out. Now I come down here. I typed out Chicago mortgage lender. A completely separate set of results. Look at this. Completely different companies and businesses. So what this means to you, and the reason why this is so significant, is a lot of people, a lot of loan officers, here's what they do. When I ask, I say, hey, how many of you guys are showing up at the top of Google Maps? Oh, I do. I'm showing up in the top 3. And they think that means they're getting all the traffic. That's not the case, is it? You're only getting about half the traffic if you're not showing up for both categories here, because we got Chicago mortgage broker, Chicago mortgage lender, showing a completely different set of lenders. The other significance of that, and this is probably even more significant, is the fact that they have completely different competition rates. What do I mean by that? Well, because of the fact that the lion's share of individuals are just automatically listing themselves as Chicago mortgage broker, or insert your city name here, whatever it is you're trying to rank, but the word mortgage broker. The vast majority are just targeting this category because it's the first one that they see. B comes before L when they're looking at the categories, because a lot of them don't realize you can pick more than one category. And even if they do, they optimize only for one, and that's the mortgage broker. But that means the competition. Look at the strength of the rankings here on Chicago mortgage broker. Look at this. The number 1 guy has 68 reviews, averaging 5 stars. He's got his testimonials here showing up on the front. So that means he's got a schema active. He's got an active website, et cetera, et cetera. Come down here. Number 2 has 124 reviews, also has an active website, also has the schema active, and so forth. 95 reviews, 65. These are solid rankings. But when I come over here to Chicago mortgage lender, look at what I got here. The number 1 site. It doesn't even have a website, not even a single review, and they're showing up in the top position. Number 2, no reviews, no website, no schema, nothing. They have nothing, and yet it's showing up in the 3-pack. There's very little competition here, guys. As I go down the list here, I see this happening over and over and over and over. Very little competition. So that means that if I want some quick results, if I want some quick rankings, I need to target more than just one category. Okay. And it's not just categories, it's the keywords as well. The category is what Google asks you for, but remember, there are trigger keywords, and there could be dozens and dozens of trigger keywords that cause the map pack to show up. Right? I could do just the word mortgage, Chicago mortgage. I could do the word VA loan. I could do reverse mortgage. I could do home loan. All these different variations of trigger words that in most cities will trigger the 3-pack maps to show up. How many of those are you ranking for? Okay. So now that we understand those differences, and let's go back to right here our notes. I'm just going to be popping down some notes on this page here. Okay. So let's go off of number 1 is there are 2 mortgage categories. If you're missing one, go back in and add the other one. That's word mortgage broker plus your city and mortgage lender. Right? Make sure that you're optimized for both of them, guys. Okay. All right. So let's start talking about another huge one. Now, this is a really, really big tip, guys. This could quite literally, this one little tweak for a decent chunk of you can make the difference between showing up on the first page of Google My Business or Google Maps versus second, third, or fourth page, which is almost no traffic, less than 1% are on those pages. And that is the name of the company that you select. Let me show you something here. Check this out. This is crazy. When we were talking about the guys showing up in number 1 for mortgage lender, what do you notice about this? What do you notice about this? Let me hear from you guys in the comments. How many of you guys think that this is the name of the company, that there's actually a name of a company, a mortgage company called Mortgage Loans Chicago? Do you think that's the real name of a company? Better yet, they're showing up twice. Oh, wait, no, they're showing up 3 times. Wait, no, they're showing up 4 times. That's a little weird, isn't it? Do you really think that these guys deserve to be there? Oh, no, now they're showing up a 5th time. So I've got Mortgage Loans Chicago, and then I also got Chicago Mortgage. And they all have the same thing in common. They've got nothing on their profile. Guess what's happening here? Well, we're looking at SEO spam or Google Maps spam. Right? Because an exact match to the keyword that you're trying to rank for is a huge, huge, huge ranking signal. But there's a problem. And there's actually a way to fix this. I could easily get all 5 of these spammy listings removed from Google. There's a really easy way to do it, and I'll show you guys later how to do it, how to remove your competition if they're using spam like this, because this actually violates Google's rules. Part of their algorithm is that you have to use the actual name of your company as the title of your Google My Business, right? When I'm putting the name of my business, it has to be the actual name of my business. Now, just as assuredly as I tell you that, if you guys have been on some of my previous trainings, live trainings, you might be thinking that I'm contradicting myself when I've said in the past that we should try to do an exact keyword match with the title of your company when setting up your Google Maps. You're going, well, why would I do that if it violates Google's terms of services and can actually get me blacklisted and completely removed? Well, because there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. Okay. So check this out. Here's probably one of the most powerful tips you will hear all year when it comes to ranking. And this is very, very powerful. Don't underestimate the power of this. I've literally made this one change and gotten people to the top. Many, many instances. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but many, many instances. If you have a lot of other things that you've done right on your profile, but you're still not getting to the top, sometimes just making this little change can get you there. And that is that we want to enter, when we're setting it up, an exact match keyword, but we want to do it the right way. And the right way is this, guys. Google's problem is they're going to try to verify when you do an exact match keyword. Now, sometimes you'll get away with it like these guys, but most likely these guys just keep coming back and resubmitting when they get delisted. Okay. But you get caught enough times and you get completely blacklisted, and now good luck trying to get back. So what Google's trying to do is when you do an exact match title for your company in your GMB, there's automated systems going to come in and it's going to try to verify that this is actually the name of your company. How do you think they do that? How do you think they're going to try to verify that this is actually the name of your company or that it's relevant? Well, one of the things that they do is they go back to your website, right? Because they know what your website URL is. So guess what we do? Well, what I would recommend is you set up a DBA, doing business as, okay? It costs, and I don't know in most states, but in the state of Missouri, it cost me less than $20 to register a DBA with the Secretary of State. It's a business name, that's it. I just registered it as a fictitious name, a DBA for my business. Anybody can register one. Again, less than $20. Now, once I've done that, if Google comes in and tries to delist my listing within Google Maps, I just submit them a copy of that DBA and say, this is actually the name of my business. This is my registered fictitious name. Here's a certificate, registered with the Secretary of State. Here's a link to the website. Go check it out. This is actually me. Boom. They reinstate you. But even better than that, the other thing that you can do is then set up either a mini blog or a mini site. And for like $20, $30, guys, you can get a logo for your fictitious name, for your DBA, and put that logo on the website. So you make a little mini website. And when Google goes to your website to check and make sure this is actually your name, the proof is in the pudding. It's right there. Now you can utilize an exact match name for your business, which is one of the most powerful things that you can do without getting delisted or blacklisted by Google. Okay? So I want you guys to really, really put some thought into actually doing that. Or better yet, just take the action and do it, because it is extraordinarily powerful. Okay, so let's just do exact match title business. Register DBA. Again, you can usually do that. The Secretary of State website, just look for wherever that is in your city that you occupy, and just look for fictitious names, DBAs, business name registration, that sort of thing. Okay. All right. And again, you can also do exact match with the URL. If it were me, the way I would do it is not only would I register the fictitious name, I'd head over to GoDaddy or wherever it is you get your domain names, and I'd register that domain name as well. And that's where I would put my mini site. Very, very powerful. Now you have protection, and you can utilize this. Whereas anybody else who does this without doing what I mentioned above, they're eventually going to get blacklisted. They're going to get caught eventually. They're going to get blacklisted, and they're going to lose out on that traffic source, and it's going to suck. Right? Nobody likes just suddenly overnight losing all that. Dominic, can you have more than one DBA? Oh, you could. Yeah, you can have as many as you like. You know, have at it. Have at it. Okay. So remind me, guys, if I forget, remind me to circle back and tell you how to get stuff like this delisted. Okay. how to get, I'm sorry, not this one here, although that one is probably spam too. I mean, I could be wrong, but this one's definitely spam. There's a way to get these delisted and blacklisted by Google, and I'll tell you how to do that later. Okay, so just remind me if I forget, because sometimes I get on a train of thought and forget some of the things that I promised to talk about. Right? Okay, so let's talk about the algorithmic change that Google made and why they made this change. Okay, and then I'm going to prove to you that they made this change, so you guys know this isn't just some sensationalism. Okay. All right. So I see. Yeah, yeah. Anybody can get a DBA. Okay. Anybody can get a DBA. You know, even if you just have an intent. You know, because if you go in and when I did my very first DBA, I hadn't even set up my LLC yet at that time. Okay, but I was still able to register my DBA, my business name, just because I had the intent of starting a business. So literally anybody can do it, even if you're not the owner of a business yet, or at least I'm speaking for Missouri. I'm assuming it's the same nationwide. I don't know why it would be any different, but I had no problem registering a DBA. And then at one point, I wanted to register a second and third because I had some ideas for some other businesses I wanted to launch. And again, I did that with no problem. And you do it. I did it all completely online. I was able to do all of it online. So it was quick, easy. Got the certificate in the mail. I'm good to go. If it's different in your state, I don't know. Maybe they'll make you apply for a business license or whatever. I don't know, but all of those things are, at least in my experience in the Midwest, are dirt cheap. You know, $25 here, $20 there, that sort of thing. So, but in the long run, regardless, worth it if that's what gets you to the top, right? Money well spent. All right, let's talk about the algorithm changes. So you're going to have to ignore certain pieces of advice, even stuff that you were doing maybe in just last month, December and November and whatnot. Let me tell you what the advice was previously for Google My Business. And that was content, content, content. Okay. And what that means is really, as long as you were uploading fresh, unique, not copy and pasted content to your GMB on a regular basis, that was 90 to 95% of the search signals, of the ranking signals for Google My Business. That's really, I mean, you could do a lot of other things wrong, but so long as you were just adding regular content, regular posts, and updates to your GMB, that alone was enough to get a lot of people not only onto the front page, but into the free pack. You know, between that and getting, positive reviews, that was it. For 2022, that has completely changed. Google has deprecated that ranking signal to such a degree, it doesn't mean you shouldn't add fresh content anymore. Of course, you still need it. You're always going to need it. It's always going to have some impact. But it has nowhere near the weighting that it used to. The weight that the algorithm put on that was enormous. It was one of the top ranking signals. Now it's way down at the bottom. Why would you think Google would do something like that? Because on the surface, that sounds nuts. That sounds crazy. Why would they do that? There's a very, very good reason that Google has for doing it. Let's talk about that. Okay. There's a new technology. Well, it's not necessarily new, but it's quickly being perfected, or at least dramatically improved. AI, artificial intelligence. So for several years now, even going back 4 or 5 years, you've had these AI writers. You put in the keyword that you're wanting to rank for, the topic you wanted to talk about, click a button, and it writes the content for you. Now, the problem with that has been, historically, they've been crap. I mean, absolute dumpster fire garbage. The articles they would spit out were just almost useless. However, as true AI has become more and more cost effective and more prevalent, These article writers, these content creators now are actually getting pretty darn good. And when I say pretty darn good, I mean that they almost pass as human now. I'm not saying they're going to spit out these award-winning articles or something you're going to read and go, wow, that was amazing. No. They're not at that level yet. But they are at least at the level to where you can read it and go, I can't really tell if that was written by, just a person who doesn't really have a whole lot of writing skills or by an AI. And because they've gotten to that passable, what we would deem passable level, companies, even big companies, that's the crazy thing. The companies in general now are just pumping out enormous amounts of content. When I say enormous amount of content, I mean they will add 200-300 articles to their webpage in a single week. Because all it takes is a click of a button. Okay, I want you to write about this. Click a button. Boom. 3 minutes later, here's your article. Oh, I want you to write about this. Boom. Here's your article. Boom, boom, boom. So Google's getting flooded with all this content that's AI created. And because of that, Google's been forced to admit, well, now that anybody, literally anybody, can hammer out hundreds or even thousands of pages of articles and content in a single week or day, it's no longer that unique. It's no longer that big of a deal. So instead, Google has put a whole lot of weight in a completely different area. Does anybody care to guess what Google's putting an enormous amount of weight on now? What's a huge ranking signal now? There's actually two of them now. In fact, there's two really, really big ones. I'll give you guys a moment to think about it while I. So what are those? We have two areas. Number one, number two, right there, guys. This is what Google really, really cares about now. When I say engagement, what I mean is that Google watches very closely, and they're tracking the ratio, the percentage of individuals that land on your GMB profile versus the percentage of them that actually start clicking on your content there. Google cares less about raw content, number of words, number of times keywords are repeated, blah, blah, blah. They care less about that now, and they care more about, well, what's the ratio of visitors to not just your GMB profile, but they're also watching your website itself. And they know the ratio, the percentage of individuals that click on more than one page, click on your links, click on your lead forms, click to play a video, click to play an audio. They track all of that. They know everything there is to know about your website. And they know what kind of people are visiting. Do they bounce or do they click? And that right there makes a world of difference. So what do you think that changes about your Google My Business? There's so much that can be done to boost engagement, and yet very, very few profiles take the opportunity to put clickable content inside their GMB profile. You have the posts feature. Let's head on over here. Back over to Google My Business. Let me make sure you guys are seeing my, are you guys actually seeing what I'm seeing here in my Google My Business? Okay, yeah, good. Because sometimes it doesn't share or update when I change tabs. So when I'm coming into my Google My Business profile, I should be adding content, asking people to click on things. I shouldn't just treat this as a static profile. When there are rate updates or big movements and changes in the market, or I have a new product that I can represent. Oh, now I'm working with self-employed small business owners or whatever. I should be posting all of that to my Google My Business. I should have links. I should link out to all my social media profiles. Oh, head over to my YouTube. Here's a link to my LinkedIn. Here's a link to my YouTube. Here's a link to this, to that. Get people to click on stuff. It's as simple as that. I should link to my appointment calendar. All of this, guys. Get people to click on stuff. As simple as that. But going above and beyond your GMB, Google actually cares about your website now, way more than they used to, way, way more. The problem is, and I'm sure you guys will agree, if you just head on over to Google and start scrolling through your typical mortgage website, most of them stink, and we know that, right? Most of them are boring. They're dry. There's nothing to get people to want to click, want to engage, want to know more. And that's got to change. But on top of that, we have no ranking signals on most mortgage websites. Are we talking about the cities that you do business in? Are we talking about the type of loan products that you use? And are we linking to content and guidelines and giving them downloads, or at least offering it, et cetera, et cetera? If we're not doing those things, then there's almost no relevancy, and therefore you're going to get shoved down the ranking. It's got to change. Got to do better with our mortgage websites. As simple as that. Okay, so that's one of the big changes, is don't focus on raw content anymore. It won't get you anywhere. You'll just waste your time and probably your money if you're paying somebody to write those articles for you and to give you that content. Instead, focus primarily on these items here. Now, there are still big things that you can do to your GMB just right out of the gate to help rank. Okay, so I'll just give you an example. Let's head on over to, we'll start off with services. Okay, so what do you see here, guys? What do you see here for services? I can add a service, add another. Most loan officers will put mortgage loans or home loans and refinance or something like that, and that's it. Missed opportunity, guys. Think of these as keyword phrases. These are keywords that people are searching for. Just imagine the name of your city in front of the words VA loan. So St. Louis VA loan, St. Louis conventional mortgage, St. Louis FHA loan, St. Louis refinance. Because again, Google's always going to try to make it local, whether they typed out the word St. Louis or not. If they're in St. Louis, Google automatically assumes that and then searches for the word St. Louis plus these words here. This is a missed opportunity. Just putting these in here as services that you offer, but not just putting them in there, but watch this. When we click on this little arrow, we have 300 available characters to write out a description of my service. If we're not writing these out, again, you are missing an incredible opportunity. Fill out every single one of these. Add every variation of mortgage loan, whether you offer it or not currently, or if you're good at it or whatever. The reason why you want to do that is because oftentimes people will search for something on an informational basis, but end up in a different type of a loan. So still utilize that keyword in this list of services, but make sure you're putting out a full description and use up every last one of those 300 characters. Okay. Does that make sense? So also keep in mind, I can have these separate categories here too, and then put services underneath those. So if you really want to get granular here, guys, you can get very ultra descriptive. So if let's say I put down here as a primary category refinance. If I do refinance services, then what types of refinance loans do I do? And then I would come up under here and add as a subcategory or another service under this category, I would add that I do debt consolidation, that I do rate and term refi, that I do this, that I do that. You know, do you work with people with damaged credit? You know, okay, we'll list that. You know, non-conforming, this, that. You know, get granular. The more descriptive you are, the better off and more likely you are to rank. Okay. This is easy stuff here, man. This is all we're doing is nothing difficult about setting this up. Just head over to the Services tab in your GMB profile and get this set up and fixed right away because it's going to make your profile look that much better to Google. Now let's go to Photos. Okay. What do we have here? Interior, exterior, at work, team, identity. What do most people do in this category or in this section of their GMB profile? They just upload pictures, images willy-nilly. They don't think to categorize. Google gives you these categories. It's not because they're recommendations. They're giving them to you because this is how they want you to categorize your photos when you upload them, whether you like it or not. That's what Google wants. So I just come in here, post my photos to upload. Interior of your business. Okay, so this is where we get a lot of flack. Oh, I work from home, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. Do you have a computer? Do you at least have a desk somewhere and a computer? A telephone? Okay, go zoom in and take a picture of that as a close-up. See, what you'll see a lot of gurus saying is, oh, it's so easy. Just go over and buy some stock photos and upload it, and you'll be fine. Crap, absolute garbage, flaming garbage. Let's not do that. Why would we not do that? Because Google's algorithm can read images. They scan the images and they know what's in the image. Literally, I can upload a picture of a horse. Google, within 2 seconds, says, okay, this is a picture of a horse. And then, would you like to see pictures of other horses? Here's other similar photos. Yeah, they can read the images now. So do we really think that if we're using a stock image, which has likely been sold tens of thousands of times and shows up on tens of thousands of different web pages, do we really think Google's not going to see that? No, they're going to see that. They're going to realize it's duplicate content, and you're going to get deprecated again. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So much better to use photos that you've taken yourself. And even if you're working from home, that does not matter. Go take a close-up picture of your computer or of your laptop or whatever the case may be. Maybe on your desk, you have a bunch of documents sitting there. Okay, let's take pictures of that. Or your mortgage calculator sitting there or some other stuff. Let's take pictures of that. That's your place of business. So that's what we want to upload to the interior. Okay. So exterior, self-explanatory, at work, things going on when you're at work or the subject matter that is your work. So I might even upload some pictures of homes I'm helping people procure through my mortgage services, and put in a little note, help these folks find their next dream home, blah blah blah. Team, take a picture of yourself. You got a dog or a cat, take a picture of that. Upload as, hey, here's the office dog. Some people do that. And identity, it's like your logo, your website, things that are relevant to your identity, your brand as a company. Whatever we do, let's not leave it blank, and let's not upload stock images. Let's take pictures of our own, and let's start getting these filled out. My recommendation is to upload as many as possible, but don't do it all at once. Just drip feed it over time. Okay, but fix this, and again, you will be light years ahead of most of your competitors who never took the time to do this. All right. So give me just 1 second here. Any questions so far, folks? Now is your opportunity while I'm going to close out of some things here and then open up some others. So give me just a moment. And again, if you have questions on that process, now is the time to let me know. Okay. Just scroll through here. All right. Let's head back over. We'll be doing a new share here. Now you should be seeing Chicago. This time I'm going to go to Chicago Mortgage Broker though. All right. So let me give you one other really big tip here, and this has to do with the reviews themselves. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to click on this one at random. I have no clue what I'm going to find here in the reviews, but it's going to help me make my point. So we're going to go ahead and click on it. All right. So reviews are an important part of your ranking, but they're not the only part of your ranking. But it does make a difference as to what's included in that review. So any positive review, just by nature of the fact that it's customer feedback, it's going to be good, as long as it's positive. A 1-star feedback is not good. We want to stay away from those, obviously, but reviews can be made so much more powerful. You know how they can be made more powerful? If they include the keywords for the locations, plural, locations, plural, that you wish to rank. And what does that mean when I say plural locations? Well, one of the challenges for most individuals showing up on GMP is not that whether or not they're at the top, in that top number 1 through 3 locations in Google, but rather, give me 1 second there. Why is that? But rather, it's how little of a space they actually rank in. Here, let me show you what I mean, and then I'll explain what this has to do with reviews. Let's zoom in here. Usually I have a sample image here that I could pop open for you, but I don't want to have to go browsing for it right now since it's not already open. Let me give you an example. So right here, let's take this U.S. bank, for example. For most mortgage companies or loan officers, we could come down here and take a look at this little market. This is let's use this one right here, financial advisors. And anybody who's within this little circle that I'm drawing around their pin drop, these are the folks that they're actually ranking well for, or the people that live in this area. So if somebody does a search while living in this little bubble, it might, in many cases, it's maybe just 1.5 miles to 2 miles out. So we're not even covering that big of a geographic region. So it's a small grouping of people where we actually show up on the front page. But the loan officer or mortgage company doesn't realize that because when they Google themselves, they show up. Not realizing, well, of course you're going to show up because you're within this occupied zone here. But what happens if somebody's way over here and is looking for a home loan? Well, this guy down here is not going to show up. What if I'm over here? Again, he's not going to show up. Over here, he's definitely not going to show up. Why? Well, it's because Google has not associated you with any of the other parts of your market, because Google cares about proximity. They care about how far are you from the individual who performed the search. Okay? However, that part of the algorithm can be overcome. We can overcome it by communicating to Google that we already do business in these other areas, and therefore we are relevant. I already have customers in these other areas, and not only do I have customers, but they're happy customers. So we can communicate that through our reviews. So if I wanted to show up in a different part of the city, in a much larger area, show up in number 1 spot, I could easily double or triple my volume, the volume of leads that I'm getting. So we do that by making sure that the reviews reference the parts of your market that you want to rank in. So think about that. So we have 2 opportunities here. Number 1, if you have a really happy customer, client, and you're asking for a review, you know what a lot of people do? Is they send them, hey, like maybe you email it to them, for example. Hey, my business, primary source of my business is word of mouth and referrals. I'd really appreciate if you could leave me a honest review on my Google My Business, so my clients and customer client or potential clients can read more about what it's like to do business with me. But you know what a lot of people do? Is they write those reviews in advance. And they send it over and just say, hey, if you agree with what's on this page, all you got to do is sign it. So we have them include, since we're the ones writing out the bulk of what they're going to say, guess what we're going to do? That's right. We're going to include the names of the cities or the parts of town that we're not showing up in that we want to show up in. Not only that, when somebody leaves you a review, you have the opportunity as the owner of the business to reply to that review. What do you think I'm going to tell you next? When you reply to that review, you need to mention that area, that space that you want to show up in. Again, very, very powerful. Easy to do, but very, very powerful. The more of these that you have, the better off you're going to be. But we need to reference those markets that the client has to post the review. Yeah, that's correct, Dominic. Exactly. Yeah, let's never, ever, ever try to post reviews ourselves. That's one of the fastest ways to get slapped down by Google, right? So let's make sure that the clients are posting. Are there loopholes? Yes, there's loopholes. Am I going to teach them? No. Too dangerous. Okay. Unless you have very specific software and equipment, it's, not only that, but it is unethical. We don't want to leave reviews that didn't come from, our clients. Okay. So it's just best to, send it over and just say, if you agree with this, I'd appreciate if you post it or something similar to it, something along those lines. And you can even explain to them why. Like if you just tell somebody, oh, hey, well, I wrote they're probably just going to, I'll just discard that and I'll just say what I want to say. But if you're letting somebody know, hey, and the reason why, I wrote it this way is it's just a kind of a recommendation. You could at least include this sentence or that sentence there because it helps my ranking within the search engines, helps me show up to more people who are looking for me because it's using this specific phrase. I would really appreciate if you could include that in your review. That's wonderful, right? The overwhelming percentage of individuals will do it. All right, makes sense. Okay. So give me just one more second here, folks. Closing more tabs, opening new ones here, helps me keep organized on what I need to cover. Okay, so we covered that. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll talk about that. Okay. So one other piece of advice that's super, super simple, I'm just going to throw out here just because it's easy. Anybody can do this. And that is log in regularly. Log in regularly. Google tracks that as well. People who go months and months and months without logging into their GMB, Google views that as a negative signal. They care. They care so much. Log in on a regular basis, even if it's just once a week. Just do it. Okay, so we got a bit of maps here. Okay, so one of the other things that I'm going to strongly recommend that you guys start doing is voice search. Start optimizing for voice search. Voice search is, and this is happening more and more often, that's when people are out driving around, and that's when they find the businesses by searching, and they don't want to type. So they just click the button and talk to their phone, and then boom. Yeah, those are different keywords. Those are different keywords, and they're triggered differently. So you want to rank for them by specifically including the exact phrases as a Q&A, or frequently asked questions, on your website and on your GMB. How do you find out what people are asking their phones? Well, there's actually a really super handy website where you don't even have to guess. They'll actually tell you. So let's do public.com. Check this out. Here it is. This website's so cool. Basically, it tracks what people are actually searching for right here, right now. Answerthepublic.com. So what I do is if I put keyword in here, like mortgage loan, for example. Let's see what happens. Might take a little bit of time here. Basically, it's just going to check and search. Okay, so I can actually do comparative data there, but I'm just using the freebie search right now. So they found 69 variations. 69 variations of common keyword phrases that people are searching for online as of today, right now. This is not old data. This is the most recent data available. Now, as I go through this little keyword wheel here, look at all these different, look at how they do this here. Check this out. Look at all these different flavors. What mortgage loan can I get? What mortgage loan can I afford? Blah, blah, blah. What mortgage loan fees are negotiable? What mortgage loan would I qualify for? When to apply for mortgage loan? When to refinance? When to do a refinance mortgage loan? All these variations. These are what people are searching for. And if you utilize these, just ask these questions yourself on your profile. If you go, well, I don't know what to post about. You know, I know we need to add, you know, keyword-rich content, but also, you know, primarily focus on our web presence. But I don't really know what to write about. Well, you got 69 topics right here on this page, and all I did was look for the keyword mortgage loan. So this can get you exact keyword matching with voice search, so that when people are asking these questions as they're driving around and thinking about stopping by, you know, a mortgage company or whatever, guess who's going to be the first person to show up? Very valuable tool. Now, the frustration with this is they're going to keep trying to push you to buy the pro version of it, which is a monthly subscription. So you can only do, I believe, just 1 or 2 searches a day, and then you got to go in and buy it. But even just using it this way, the completely free version, I'd be saving all of these keywords. I'd be saving all of them. So yet another powerful tool. And again, that's answerthepublic.com. Chad, is it bad to be logged in every day? Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with that. Google loves Google. They celebrate Google. And here's the thing, Trent, you don't even have to be logged in specifically to your GMB every day. Just any of your related assets are fine as well. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to be logged in every day to your GMB. But you know, just logging into your Google assets in general that are connected to that GMB is also helpful. Okay, so that's a really good question. Thank you. All right, so making sense so far? All right, let's talk about. Oh man, I got so many other strategies here, but I know we're running low on time. I wanted to talk to you guys about geo-embedded maps. Geez, it is so cool. Okay, let me give you guys two more things here. First, let me really quickly head back over to where the spam was. Let me show you guys what to do. Did I find it? I found it on Mortgage Lender. Yeah. Okay, here we go. All right, so these are the spammy listings showing up, and I believe I found them a total of 6 times. Okay. Yeah, I believe it was they're repeated 6 times, the exact same headline or title of the company. So this is most likely just a pure spam site. Open 24 hours. Right. So how do I get them off of Google when they're clearly violating the rules and just scamming the heck out of the keyword? Well, it's really easy. As you see, I just clicked on their listing over here on the left, and which brought me to this page. This page came up. What do I want to do? Come over down here. Click on Suggest and Edit. Okay. So here I would, you could either do, most likely you could do this. And some people will ask specifically to remove. But here, edit name, location, hours, etc. Now what I like to do is I submit this, and guess where this goes? Guess where this goes? It doesn't just go to the business owner or whoever set up that spam site. It goes to Google as well. When Google gets enough of those, they actually come in and investigate. When I suggest, like I would actually come to, if you want to make it really powerful, is I would Google this address and pull it up and show that this is not indeed the actual address, right? Or the name of the company. So you can actually look it up, and sometimes you can find it, other times you cannot. But okay, it looks like it's an apartment. This address is an apartment. Okay. So if I cannot find a DBA, if I cannot find a business name that resides at this address, I'm going to suggest the edit, and that means Google gets it as well. And all it takes is a handful of those edit suggestions, and Google actually investigates. And when they investigate and they find out this is not the name of the company, that's what their next step is. They remove it. These guys are showing up in the top 3. They're showing up in the top 3, and it's just pure spam. So let's get it removed. Suggest and edit. Do a search on that location. If you find anything that's really condemning, include it when you send your suggest your edit to Google. But bottom line is Google's going to see it, and they're going to remove it. Okay? So you can actually get some of the top positions completely pulled off. And that saves you. That saves you, right? Less competitors. Especially when you see those ones that are just really, really garbage listings. And how does this thing get to the top? It's clearly spam. Boom. Get it off. Get it removed. Now you take over. Take their spot. All right? Make sense? Easy, easy, easy. Nice, huh? So let me give you guys one other really, really powerful strategy. And this one is one I particularly enjoy. Because we were just talking about ranking in just this little tiny circle. Well, guess what? It is possible to change from this little tiny circle to pushing your borders out 10 miles, 15 miles, even 20, even 30, 40, 50 miles in many cases. Imagine only showing up on the top and thinking, oh, yeah, I'm on the front page of Google Maps. I'm getting huge amounts of business. Yeah. Most individuals, like I said, who are on the number 1 spot or top 3 spot are only there for a little tiny circle driven around their business. If we can push that out to where your circle is taking up multiple cities even, which is very doable, what does that do for your number of leads captured? Part of the way that we do that is by adding relevancy and proximity to the areas that you want to rank in. So I'm going to actually use St. Louis as an example here because I'm familiar with the area. Well, actually, I'm familiar with Chicago too, so I could throw that out there. But let's just go to St. Louis. So in St. Louis, you have St. Louis Metro, then you have St. Louis County. So within St. Louis County, you have all sorts of other smaller regions. You have Sunset Hills, you have Kirkwood, you got Chesterfield, and just all these other areas. Google does not know that I'm currently doing business in those areas. But if you have clients, if you have customers coming from those areas, then you're doing business in those areas, right? So we want Google to view you less as a physical office that they're going to suggest individuals based on proximity, but rather treat you like a service area. You do business in a lot of different parts of this area. And the way that we do that is through the photos that we upload. Yeah, no kidding, guys. The photos that you upload. So let's say you have a realtor in Sunset Hills. And let's just pretend Sunset Hills is way over here and you're way over here. Okay. You're only ranking and showing in the top positions around here. Over here, you're probably like spot number 29. Okay. I want to change that because there's a lot of business to be had in Sunset Hills. So next time I have a closing, or if I know a realtor doing an open house or something along those lines, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, hey, let's meet up at your open house. I'm going to take a picture with that realtor in front of that open house. But you know what I'm also going to do? I'm going to wear either a shirt with my logo or company name on it, or a hat. I'm going to hold up a business card, something. Why am I going to do that? Because the Google algorithm can read images, guys, including words, including matching logos. Crazy how powerful it is, right? But if I start posting those in the photo sections of my GMB, oh, hey, this is me at work, guess what that does? That's allowing Google to make a connection between me and that business area. Powerful. It almost seems too good to even believe it'll work, but it works. So I would do that. I would do that for multiple points of interest. So basically, Google's drawn this tiny circle around your business and said, okay, you're going to show up in this little vicinity. So now you want to draw your own circle. Say, no, I actually want to rank in this area right here. Boom. So I'm going to go and look at all the border areas. We call them POIs, points of interest. Like if I'm in St. Louis, I would go get a picture of me standing in front of the St. Louis Arch. Why? Because, again, the Google algorithm knows that's the St. Louis Arch. They know the physical location of the arch. And if they see me there, and I got my logo, or I got my hat, or I got my T-shirt with my company name or company logo on it, again, they're just going to draw that connection. Powerful, isn't it? But again, almost nobody's doing this stuff. It's very frustrating. But technically, really good news for you guys, because that means, hey, less competition, right? So I would draw that circle. Let's say I would come over here and I would find a point of interest somewhere here. Then come find a point of interest somewhere up here. Then just somewhere find a point of interest somewhere over here. And then boom, somewhere over here. So now I can draw this imaginary circle that Google sees I've been doing business at. Right? Now, there's other things that can be done as well. I don't want to overwhelm you guys and throw too much out there. So we'll save some of the other ones. Geo-embedded maps and layering and all this other stuff. That's starting to get into some of the more advanced techniques. But from what I've just told you here today, just from what you've learned in the past hour, that right there can make a world of difference in your rankings, guys. A world of difference. Ultra powerful. Okay. So how many of you guys feel like you have some knowledge that allows you to take some good action now based on that? So I wanted to talk to, you know what? I really wanted to talk about the Web 2.0 sites. But you know what? I'll make that. I'll do that in another session as well, because again, we got some we got some really big things here for you guys to take action on already. So, but let me just pop this up here real quick, okay? So I realize, I understand that everything that I just showed here today, it not only works, but it will improve your ranking. It will improve your ranking, as simple as that. And there's a lot of business to be had, a lot of leads being pulled off of GMB right now. But I also understand that a lot of you guys, you like to learn this stuff, but you just don't have time. Here's the link. We do this as a completely hands-off done for you. And the reason why this is such a big deal right now, guys, is because of the fact that, you know what? One of the big ranking signals for 2022 is your actual website. A lot of folks don't have the time nor the technical expertise to go in and switch up their website the way that Google would want it.
Oh, wow.
So that they're getting the rankings.
Oh, wow. How they would start changing
Oh, I think somebody's unmuted there.
And the thing.
Let me see. There we go. I took care of that. All right. So what I'm going to do, for those of you that just don't have the time and you want to talk about getting it done for you, I'm going to put the link here in the chat box. All right. So just look in the chat box. You'll see the link. You can request a appointment. So let me show you what you'll see. You're going to see this right here. So you're not on the wrong page. That is my partner, Allison. And you can request it right here. Just scroll down to the Book Me in the calendar, pick a time, and we will chat. Okay. So the link is, I put it in the chat box, guys. You can just click and go directly through there, or you can just type out the link that you see here on the screen. So it's bookme.name/mortgage marketing. And again, you can request a 15-minute strategy session. And these are low pressure sessions, guys. I'm not here to try to hard sell anybody. If it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. You know, we got lines and lines of folks to help, so it's not a big deal. You know, for me, it's a matter of, can I help you? Can I get you to the top? Can I get you the results that you want? Okay. So the 15 minutes, we're going to take a look at your current GMB. We're going to take a look at your competition. We're going to take a look at your city that you want to rank in, and there's going to be some recommendations. So we'll even make some recommendations of things that you can do personally in the here and now to make a difference as well. Okay. But the bottom line is, this is what we do. This is what we do very, very well. And the strategies, as you've seen today, how many of you guys have learned strategies today that you haven't heard from anywhere else? Because how many times have you heard the setting up a DBA with your Secretary of State, you know, a fictitious name? You're just not going to find these types of tips. Oftentimes, when you listen to the videos and the supposed gurus on this stuff, they're all telling you the same old tactics, you know, that have been taught for 10 years. But the algorithm, Google's not the same as it was 10 years ago. They've changed so much. That's why you need to be